Hey guys, welcome back. This is Radio Taiwan International and you're listening to Geek Out. I'm your host, Michelle Chang, and this is episode 3 of having some really awesome people in here. We have Arrow, they, them, and Nicole, she, her, in the studio today.
Hello.
Yes! And today we're going to geek out with Arrow about
Climbing.
Yes.
Specifically, I boulder, so we'll go into some terms and stuff because I know there's a lot.
When you hear climbing, you usually picture like cliffside mountains with ropes and things, but that's different than what you that's actually what I picture when I think about climbing.
Super fair.
So please explain.
Yeah. Well, that's the climbing that I originally started with. That's called top rope. It's because the rope is just tied at the top.
Oh, it makes sense.
Or there's like a thing at the top that like the rope goes through. So you have one tied to the climber in their harness, and then they will be on the wall, and then there's a belayer who is responsible for taking in the slack of that rope when
Because
the climber
we must
goes
be
up,
safe, right?
because we have to be very safe.
So explain what you do now, which doesn't involve so much.
Oh, there's no ropes
Oh,
in
oh.
bouldering. Bouldering does not go as high. It is maybe maximum 20 feet
Okay.
walls.
So where do you do this?
There's a gym that I go to back in Minnesota that is called Minneapolis Bouldering Project. There's a lot of bouldering projects around, at least in the States. I know Seattle has one. That's my gym. I love it.
And I'm assuming they have padding, so
Oh,
if there
yeah.
are no ropes.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got like 3 feet of padding.
Oh, okay. Have you fallen?
Yeah, I fall.
I'm just gonna straight up say, ask my questions in the beginning. Have you fallen off the mountain?
I've fallen. I actually sprained my ankle in August. So that took me a little bit of recovery time. So there's a lot of things that can go wrong.
Right. Safety first.
But it's really exciting, and I think I would still do it as long as I can.
So we should start from the beginning. What this is kind of an interesting hobby to get into. I mean, normally you don't like wake up one day and say, I should go climbing. How'd you get into it?
Well, as a kid, I would go occasionally to the climbing gym and do
cool.
Some top rope climbing with the ropes and belayers. So I was lucky that my mom brought me there. But I got back into it around college when there was a bouldering gym. I went with a bunch of friends and we would just do that all the time. So that's how I got my workouts in.
That's actually a really fun workout rather
It's
than,
the best.
just like treadmill. I really hate treadmills, which my trainer makes me do now, and it's just awful. It's so boring.
Very fair. Very fair. I'm not a runner. I don't have any cardio.
At least you're getting your exercise in.
Yeah, I am. Climbing is a really interesting way to work out. I really enjoy it. I think it's one of the most fun ways you can work out. And you can take it at your speed. It's great. There are competitions, but I think generally it's a very chill sport.
Right. I mean, watching people do it, I'm sure it's kind of meditative where because you're so tunnel focused on finding your next, what do they call them?
Hold, right? Yeah.
So you really can't be thinking about a million things at once while you're doing that activity.
Absolutely. It for sure clears my head. I feel like when I'm on the wall, that's all I'm thinking about, which is really nice to be able to like have that escape.
Right. So you got back into it in college because your
Yes.
university had the facilities. For people who would like to get started, what do you need? What do you get started with?
Well, at bouldering gyms, if you pay for a day pass, they'll give you the shoes. That's really all you need.
Okay.
They will also probably give you a chalk bag if you want to use chalk. That makes it so your hands aren't quite as sweaty, which is really helpful in grabbing things.
Yeah.
I like to use chalk. Some people don't. My roommate Nicole
Is making faces right
definitely
now.
I don't like chalk. I mean, I've only been climbing 3-4 times maybe because Arrow tricked me into being a very social activity.
It is a very social
It's
activity.
true. But Arrow was like, I got all our friends, so you should come. And I was like, okay, it's a party now. And so I don't use chalk, but then it is pretty hard on your hands.
Yeah.
So you need special shoes.
Special shoes.
And
yes.
possibly a chalk bag.
Possibly a chalk bag. And if you want to do rope climbing, you can go get a day pass at those gyms, and they'll also have like harness rentals, but you'll definitely need a harness to get into the
safety
rope.
first.
Safety first.
Yes. So then at a bouldering gym, they give you the shoes and the chalk bag, and then there's just like, go.
Well, they give you a little tutorial,
Okay,
right? So
good.
there's how to fall properly is kind of once your feet hit the mat, like roll backwards so that you're not like bracing on your hands or taking all that shock in through your legs. So you
Right.
just kind of roll and you're good and you like tuck.
That's actually it's an art form, and I've seen people fall really badly. I guess if you learn how to fall, I used to watch skaters, so learning how to fall off of the skateboard is a really important piece of it, because you're gonna.
Yeah, it's really important. Admittedly, I'm not the best at falling. I tend to know where my limits are and kind of don't take them too far.
That's good.
The only reason I sprained my ankle is because I came down a little bit weird when I was already done with the climb and like climbing down the wall.
Oh wow. They actually did a study, I think it was here in Taiwan, where people who had imbibed a certain amount of alcohol were actually far more loose physically. Like they were not like tightened up as strict, like the anxious tightening when they fall. So they actually don't injure themselves as badly as people who just fall.
That's really interesting. Yeah, because when you are intending to fall on the climbing wall, you want to be as loose as possible.
Right.
Because if you brace yourself, you're more likely to hurt yourself.
Exactly. You're kind of fighting the impact.
Yeah. Sometimes my hand will go behind me and I'll be like, oh no, I'm not supposed to do that.
It's instinctive though.
It is instinctive. So you
Yeah.
really have to fight that a little bit.
Exactly. So they give you a tutorial, teach you how to fall.
Yeah.
And
then they'll tell you like, hey, this is the grading system. So grading is, this is easier and this is harder in this case. So it like puts it on a scale.
oh good.
So there's like VB is like beginner, and I don't know why it starts with V, but it always does in bouldering.
Very beginner.
Very
Oh,
beginner.
yeah. And then there's V0, and then the numbers go up. So V1, V2.
Okay.
And that's how they're usually graded. My gym grades by color. So instead of having those numbers, they have a general range. So like VB through V0 will be yellow. So that's, I think, really fun because you're not always intimidated by a number. Sometimes you're like, oh, that just looks really cool. I want to try that one. And some of the colors, because there's a range in those colors, they could be like, oh, this is a harder red route. I'll do that one. But you don't know that it's a harder one until you've done it.
Oh.
And the more that you climb, the higher your grade will go.
Yeah.
It's just generally like practice makes for
Of course.
improvement.
Of course.
So I've surprised myself looking back at videos that I've taken, like, oh my gosh, my grade has gotten higher.
Yeah, the we were talking about the TikTok videos you post, and they're impressive because I could not do that. And they are just shimmying across this wall like it were second nature, and it's like, okay, how long have you been climbing though in order to have gotten to that point?
Well, I started in college to get really back into it more than just occasionally. I would climb about 2 times a week in college. When COVID hit and I was forced to stop going places, I had to take a break, and all the gyms shut down and everything. So I took about a year off.
Right. Oh, gyms. All gyms, including bouldering gyms, would be closed.
Yeah. But I got back into it after I graduated, and I got a membership at the Minneapolis Bouldering Project. And I've had that membership for a year now. So
in total, since you picked it back up in college, it's been
about 5 years on the wall, which is really cool.
That's really cool. All in gyms, or have you actually done any outside?
I've been outside once. It was really fun. I haven't done top rope outside, but I've done bouldering outside. You have
What
to
were the
bring the
differences?
mats with you.
Oh, yeah.
They're called crash pads.
Oh, I love that. I love the name. Crash
it's
pads.
It's a fun word. So I have one of my own, and it comes with like backpack straps. So you have this big rectangle behind you, and you just like strap it on, and then you walk up little trails
to your bouldering location.
I go with friends. I think it's always safer
It's
to have a person
Oh,
first
yeah.
of all.
Yeah.
But I think climbing is a great social sport.
It is.
Not
Well, it
only
looks
do
like
you
it.
like make friends, and it's great to be able to talk to people, but you need to rest your body between attempts on the wall, and having someone to talk to is a great reason to rest.
And then you're maybe also watching somebody else attempt to climb,
Yeah,
so it's
so
also
you can
entertainment.
Beta. Wow, a vocab word.
Oh.
Beta is what we call like how the route is intended to be climbed. There are for sure different ways that route setters, the people who are like making the routes in gyms or I guess outside, people will say, this is the route there, and they'll give it a name. I don't do very much outside climbing yet, but I'm going to get into it.
So they'll give it a name, like it's like a route gorilla.
Yeah, sure. Again, I don't climb very much outside, so I don't know tons of route names. They don't usually say route in it, but it'll be like, oh, this is that one, whatever that one's name is, and it'll have a grading associated with it.
Is it scarier outside though? Like
I think it's scarier.
Yeah.
I went to a popular park that has actually like kind of smooth rocks, so it's harder to find holds. So the routes there were really hard and a bit at the current time out of my range. So I struggled to find a route that I could do.
Right.
But I still had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean that's the point. It's like as long as you're having fun, it's great.
Yeah.
I would imagine also because outside, I'm sure the rock wall is not really, really clean. So there's like grime and dust and dirt that you would get on your fingers that might actually make the whole process more challenging.
Yeah, I think so. Generally, I know. So there's different kinds of holds that you have, and they're like named at the wall that I go to. But there's a certain kind of hold called a pocket, where it's a hold, but there's a little circle in the center where you can stick a couple fingers, but not your whole hand.
Oh.
And I imagine those outside would probably be full of spiders.
Oh, no.
So I don't ever want to touch those
no.
outside. They are at least spider webs.
Oh my goodness. Now that you say it, I'm just envisioning just bugs in there.
Yeah, maybe trigger warning, I guess. I little
mean,
creep.
Taiwan has a few places where bouldering groups will go and have a social thing, right? One of them is in a location that we will hopefully get to if the weather allows us, called Longdong, or Longdong in English. Haha, yes, make your inappropriate joke here. So they have a few boulders that have been etched by wind and water because it's like right against the ocean. Cool. And I would imagine you're going to have a good time. I don't see so much pockets as I see just cracks in the rock face.
Crack climbing's popular. If you can put your hand in it and grab it at certain angles, or if you have to do a hand jam, which is another term. It's where you put your hand in and then just kind of flex it so that it is on both sides of the part of the wall. You can just kind of pull up your weight by your hand.
Just watching you shimmy up a wall, it is very forearm, lower leg strength, I'm going to say.
Yeah, I would say so. Especially people who are not used to climbing, they'll get very tight forearms when they go. So there's like certain stretches that you can do that really help that.
Is cramping a thing? Does that start happening?
I don't know. I mean, I've experienced a few cramps, but if you stretch well, I think that cramping is at a minimal.
That is very true. Always, safety first and stretch before you exercise.
And after. That's a goal. I got really into foam rolling recently because I had to see a chiropractor about like some like sciatica flare up. So
please explain, what is foam rolling?
It's like a cylinder of foam, and you kind of just put your muscles on it and roll with that weight to like
on the floor.
Yeah.
So using your own body weight. Oh yeah. Well, that's easy.
Very helpful. It's super easy and it's very useful.
Great. So if you are, I'm assuming you will continue to climb.
Absolutely.
Do you see yourself doing like really quote unquote scary stuff later?
Yeah, I suppose. Some people think that what I do currently is scary.
Yes,
so
already.
It is scary.
Yeah, I plan on continuing to have this improvement. Hopefully I don't stagnate.
Are there like locations that are goal spots for you later, or?
No, not really.
Not really?
I know that there are some climbers who have a lot of goals. I know that there's some fun places in Spain that one of my close climbing friends really like.
That would be one hell of a trip.
Yeah, I'd definitely do some climbing trips. There's some road trips that I might take this summer. I want to go out to the Pacific Northwest in the States.
Oh, they have some interesting rock walls there as well.
Yeah, so there's places that I would visit, but no route in particular has caught my eye. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us I guess the scariest experience that you've ever had, or your most crowning achievement, like the biggest feeling of success.
Well, let's see. So we'll start with the scariest
Scary.
experience.
Okay, scary. Good.
I was on a route that I felt like is in my ability for sure, but one hand slipped and I fell, and I didn't fall properly, and I kind of just sat down, and I felt a little like shock kind of go up my spine.
A
It
twinge.
was not fun. Very scary. So that's kind of why it's important to fall correctly. I didn't like tuck and roll. I just kind of took it.
I have eaten it pretty bad, just like by walking, because that's the kind of person that I am. So, and you kind of lay there, and you get the breath knocked out of you, and you're wondering, oh my goodness, am I okay?
Yeah.
Can I get back up? Is anything broken?
Yeah. And I was okay. That was great.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well,
Spraining my ankle was really rough, but it wasn't really scary at that time. I was just like, it's hard to move.
It's hard to move.
My foot hurts.
Ouch. Yes.
So I had to fill out an incident report because it happened at the gym.
Right.
And then they gave me ice, and like my friend who was there with me helped me get to my car. So
Right. I mean, generally, I think the people who are at the climbing gym are very well trained in first response.
absolutely.
Should
Yeah,
there be any incident. So,
definitely.
any really, really happy achievements?
Also, there's highs and lows for
Yeah.
sure. Well, we already touched a low. I think we got to get the highs. Climbing's all about going high.
Definitely, right? Gotta get high.
I really like when I hit a new color because my
Yay.
course is
Ranked
done
by
with
color.
colors. So hitting a new color is very exciting,
Oh.
especially because they're arranged. So like, yeah, I've done hard this color, but I haven't done any of these colors yet. And I recently hit like pinks, which are the second hardest in the gym.
Oh,
And
Okay,
I
wait.
I know.
So how does it go?
excited
Yellow's
about
at the
that.
bottom.
Okay.
Yellow's
Yeah, I'll
easiest.
do this. This is
Okay.
It's not something anyone actually needs
It
to know.
sounds
but
like
it's really
gibberish. I'm
fun.
gonna say that right
No,
now.
but this is the best part.
Yeah, so the color ranking system is yellow, red, green, purple, orange, black, blue, pink, white.
You made it all the way up to pink.
I did.
So cool.
Yeah. So I project mostly blues. I project some blacks.
Okay.
And like there's oranges that I still can't do, but where I put my energy is like mostly into like blues at this point, which is super cool. But there's some routes that I will just do because they look really fun. And so that's how I got my first pink. I was like, oh, that's a little corner.
Right.
I get to like scurry up it, and then I'll have to just grab it.
And okay, so in the gym, is it pink? Like what you're
Yeah.
reaching? That's even
Right.
better.
So
'cause
they make the molds of the
holds?
They make molds of the holds,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll fill it with whatever the material is, and they're usually really rough.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're smooth, which is frustrating because they're harder to hold when they're smooth.
Right.
So they can do like dual textures, or like most of them are one texture that's like a little bit like sandpaper, and they'll make them in colors. A lot of gyms just put it up in one color because that's how you're identifying like, oh, this is the color that I'm currently climbing.
Oh, I
and it's
see.
not in most gyms that aren't the one that I climb at. I've known it to be by the number. So they'll
Right.
have a little number and be like, this green route that is only using green holds will be like a V5.
Gotcha.
But my gym, those numbers are known because they use the colors as the grading system.
Gotcha.
So like all the yellows are lower level beginner routes.
Gotcha.
But so the colors will change as you get a higher and higher skill progression.
Oh man, so that's actually really neat because you can visibly see yourself doing it.
Yeah.
Rather than have you come down and then your friend says, oh, that's not that's like a higher course course level. So
Yeah. So you'd have to like,
That's really neat.
yeah, it's
I
really
love
cool.
the color grading system.
It's really fun. It's
And-
really cool.
And I had no idea they split it up into so many levels.
There's a lot of them. Yeah.
So guys, if you want to get out there and climb, of course, remember safety first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, learn how to fall. What else would you tell people who are interested in the hobby?
Well, shoes are helpful. Getting a good shoe can improve your thing, but really it's just nice to have a little bit less of a sole, but still have that rubber there to get on the hold. So it's really helpful. Chalk is helpful, but it is not necessary if you don't want it.
Depends on how sweaty your hands get.
Yeah. If you're going outside, clean up after yourself, though.
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
brush off all the excess chalk. There's a bunch of different types of holds, and there's ways you can hold them, but none of that is necessary for beginners to actually know like the names of them. You can just
jump in.
try and go on the wall. Give people space. Don't get under someone who's on the wall because they could fall.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, safety.
Yeah, that's really important.
Yeah. And I'm going to say also maybe know your limits.
Know your limits. Yeah. If something feels scary, you don't have to do it. You can if you feel like you have the capacity in you, or at least the capacity to fall safely.
Right.
But yeah, know your limits.
Know your limits. It's all about having fun.
It is all about having fun. Climbing is like a puzzle that you do on the wall.
I love that.
It's wonderful. It's the best workout.
Thank you so much for talking about this.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I knew very, very little about this hobby. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you both for coming. First of all, coming to Taiwan.
Yay!
Period.
Of course.
I hope you guys will have had an absolutely wonderful time while you're here.
Yeah. I'm sure we will. We have a wonderful tour guide.
Oh, thanks. Everybody else, listeners at home, yeah, give climbing a try. It actually sounds really cool. I might, if I can find myself a bouldering gym in Taiwan. We'll be back next week with another episode of Geek Out. I'm your host, Michelle Chang, and this is Radio Taiwan International.
Bye.